Goals are not about achieving your goal. It's about becoming a different version of yourself. Goals are about becoming. And logically, I understood that in my brain, right? In the last episode, we talked about the surface level up in our heads, right? But I didn't actually embody it. And when I say embody it, I'm talking about I didn't emotionally feel it. I didn't really understand it at the level that I needed to understand it. And if you've heard this before and you're like, oh yeah, I get it. And yet you keep hitting this like invisible ceiling where it just feels like I set the goal and I don't quite hit it. I keep trying to lose the weight and I don't quite lose it. I keep trying to have more money and I just don't quite seem to have more money, right? Well, hey everybody, it's Jennifer Dawn. Welcome to a new episode of the Happy Productive Podcast. Today we're going to be diving into identity. Now, for years and years, I would hear all of the amazing performance coaches and coaches out in the world, and they would say, goals are not about achieving your goal. It's about becoming a different version of yourself. Goals are about becoming. And logically, I understood that in my brain, right? In the last episode, we talked about the surface level up in our heads, right? The top. So logically, I, of course, understood the concept. This is about me becoming a new version, a better version of myself whenever I set these goals, right? But I didn't actually embody it. And when I say embody it, I'm talking about I didn't emotionally feel it. I didn't really understand it at the level that I needed to understand it. And if you've heard this before and you're like, oh yeah, I get it. And yet you keep hitting this like invisible ceiling where it just feels like I set the goal and I don't quite hit it. I keep trying to lose the weight and I don't quite lose it. I keep trying to have more money and I just don't quite seem to have more money, right? So we set the goal, especially at the beginning of the new year or throughout the year, we set that goal. And then we keep working harder and pushing and driving, and we might get some success. I certainly did. We get a little further and a little further, but it never has that real deep satisfaction. Or we might hit a revenue goal and then it's, oh, that was okay. Now I'm going to go set another revenue goal because I still feel like crap, if we're being completely honest, right? And so I'm going to start these next few shows with what's actually going on under the surface. So identity is what we're going to talk about right now. So this idea of our identity needs to shift. So identity is not your personality. It is not your strengths. It is not your role. It's the internal place that you lead from, and it's who you become automatically under pressure. Let's just sit with that for a second, because the under pressure is the key part of that. Now, pressure can be external forces, what people think about us. It could be actual, like everybody, like, hey, you're the business owner, you need to make a decision, you got to decide, right? Any of those things are pressure. It can be as simple as somebody we care about criticizing us. That can essentially be pressure to our system. Now, in the last show, we talked about these safety rules that are running the game, okay? And the safety rules, they formed early in life because your system was paying attention to everything around you. This is why, like, when you go to therapy and they're like, oh, do I have to talk about everything that happened when I was a kid? Or is this all about blaming mom and dad? No, it isn't. But the way that all human beings evolve is in those early years, we are modeling, meaning we don't have boundaries. We are looking at all the big human beings in our world, and our nervous system is really paying close attention. And if it perceives a threat, it is remembering it. And it's also remembering, what did we do to stay safe, to stay alive? And what happens is that stuff happens slowly. But then it happens once and our system remembers it and it saves it. And then it happens again and our system remembers it and saves it. And so then it just happens over and over and over again. And it doesn't live up in our heads, it lives in our body. So think of it as a felt sense that when whatever perceived threat happened, this is how I responded to it. It kept me safe. It felt better. It felt safe. So I just kept doing it over and over again. Okay. That essentially becomes your identity. And no strategy can override that. No strategy. So if you've ever we're business owners, we love our strategy. You guys all know this. And so it's like, but I've got my strategy and my behavior still isn't changing. My results are still not where I want them to actually be. Guess what? No strategy is going to override that ceiling that your nervous system has created, which is essentially your identity. Now, it's important to understand that this stuff lives in the body. For so many years, especially from my childhood, I had a lot of abuse from my father, the father who raised me, not my biological father who abandoned me. So let's add that in there. And then a very toxic, narcissistic mother who knew the abuse was happening and chose not to do anything about it. Okay. So that's a lot of chaos. That's a lot of threat going on. And so for most of my childhood, teen years, and adult life, I was not in my body. I was up in my head. And as I started to do more of this somatic work and really get in the body, it became very obvious to me, oh my gosh, I am not in my body at all. I am up in my head at the drop of a hat, ready to get the hell out of here because my system is on all the time, perceiving where is that next threat going to come from. So in order to start shifting this and changing this, we actually have to get down into our body, and our body has to feel safe before we can start to shift anything. So that's the thing that so much personal growth just completely skips. I don't know about you guys, but I have been not a personal growth junkie, but I do love all the personal growth stuff, probably the last 10 or 15 years. If there was the book, I read it, the course, I did it, the class, I took it, you name it. The therapy, 4 years of trauma therapy, which was really, really beneficial and life-changing for me. I've worked with numerous coaches, had many mentors. I love all of it. And it's surprising to me how at this point in my life, I had not heard about any of the nervous system, the attachments, the safety rules, hadn't heard about any of this stuff. But when I heard it, I recognized it as true because I knew it landed in my system and it was like, oh, this is what I've actually been looking for. This is the shift that I need to make so that all this other personal growth stuff will actually land. Because most of the personal growth stuff just completely skips safety. It's like they assume that you're already living in safety and you have that foundation. And so many of us just don't. Now, here's what it can look like practically in business. So the business owner who can't stop overworking, this was me. I literally could not stop overworking. I've probably worked 10, 12-hour days for decades of my professional life because I've owned businesses since I was 23 years old, and I'm definitely not 23 anymore. And even though I knew rest was important, even though I coached my clients to rest, I still had trouble doing it for myself. And that overworking was actually a safety rule that said, if you slow down, if you are not producing, you are not safe. And as you're listening to this, some of it might be resonating, and I really hope it does. And it's going to resonate in your body at a deeper level. So let's just bring a little awareness here into this of just start to notice. Are you up in your head? Are you in your body? As you listen to this show and you hear me talk about overworking, and if it resonates with you as to, do you have this almost invisible just push that won't let you slow down, that won't let you rest, or rest doesn't feel safe? When I first heard that, it didn't really land very good. Of course, rest is safe. Of course, I want to be able to rest. But the more I sat with it and I realized that when I did try to rest, some of the guilt would come up, that drive would come up, and fear would come up of, oh, if I'm resting too long, all these things are going to fall apart. And again, it was just crap. It was just story. Remember, story is what keeps those safety rules in place. So if we tell ourselves the story, if I slow down, bad things will happen, it keeps your safety rule in place and it keeps you going 100 miles an hour, even though you know you're tired and you know that logically rest is actually a good thing. Undercharging. It's in our money all over the place. And so if you've ever undercharged, right? If your safety rule says I need to provide my value, then I can't provide value unless I'm going. This is why we will undercharge, so that we are providing so much value because we don't feel safe actually charging what we're worth. If you've ever had trouble letting go of control, I know many times I have said, I don't do it anymore, but I have said, I'm the only one who can do it right. And then what do? We surround ourselves with a team of idiots who can't do anything right. And then we prove ourselves true. Oh, see, nobody can do anything right. But what's actually going on, it's at the deeper level, you guys. It's coming from the deep level of, I need to be able to do it myself. I need to stay in control because that's what actually keeps me safe. It's funny. Years ago, I went through a lot of people in my company, and now I haven't had any shifts in my team in years because I had to fix me. As the leader of the company, I had to go deep. I had to look inward. I had to look at myself. And when I did that work on me, my team just evolved into this beautiful, amazing team, and I trust them completely. They trust me, and it's a really beautiful working relationship. So here's the thing I want you guys to sit with right now. If you're like, okay, my identity really needs to shift, and you want to shift that, it is entirely possible. You are not broken. I want to be really clear about that. You're not crazy. You're not broken. It's not about discipline. It's not about willpower. It's something going on. We could say unconsciously, although you're listening to this show. So now we're bringing it into the consciousness. We're bringing it into awareness. And awareness is really the first step of understanding how this works. And as you start to understand it, you can start to loosen it and you can start to shift it. And it's awareness. Awareness is where this all begins. So don't worry, we're going to keep going deeper and deeper on the show. Next, we're going to be talking about, your story. We're going to go to your story, and we're going to also talk a little bit about focus, and then we'll be going into decisions and patterns. Really good stuff. So I hope that you stay with me. And if you're like, hey, ears up, right? I have 2 new puppies, and any noise, the ears up. So if you're listening to this and your ears are going up and you're like, oh, I think that she might be onto something. I think she's talking about something that I really need to hear. Just stay with me through the different shows. And if you really want to go deep to a level that we can't really do on the show, go to my website, jenniferdawncoaching.com, and check out my next upcoming workshop, which is called Wildly Successful You. These are the in-person retreats. And I'm going to be teaching it in a virtual weekend workshop where we go really deep into this and not just learn how to do it, but actually embody it and practice it and be able to do it for yourself. And I assure you it is a game changer. All right. That's it, you guys. That's it for today's show. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Identity sets the ceiling. If you're feeling that ceiling and you want to shift it, it's deeper, it's in your body. And we're going to talk about where to look a little bit more next. That's it. Get out there, you guys, and have a happy, productive day, y'all. Bye. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love to have you join us inside Freedom Builders, my coaching community for entrepreneurs who are ready to slow it on down, do the inner work, and build soul-aligned businesses that are happy, productive. Everything you need is linked below in the description, or you can visit my website at jenniferdawncoaching.com. I hope to see you there.